Georgie, are you still there?
You have to unmute because when you turned on the recording, it automatically muted everybody.
Oh gosh, hold on. I did not know that. Sorry.
Considering we all work in tech companies. Oh
Yeah.
my God. This is so
I
It's
didn't
just another Teams thing they started.
Yes, I didn't unmute you, but we can hear you, Georgie. So I think we're ready.
Okay, perfect. Shall I introduce myself or do you want to do the honors, Mel?
You can introduce yourself.
Okay, hi everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Georgina Hallaby and I'm a performance and wellbeing coach, and I'm based in the UK, but I've actually lived all around the world. And when I say performance and well-being, it's always been really important for me to have outer success and inner peace. And I believe that those two things complement each other. It's not as if we need to run ourselves into the ground in order to be truly successful or to achieve our peak performance. And in fact, studies show success doesn't make you happy. Happiness actually creates success. So I'm all about the best of both worlds, peak performance and well-being. And before becoming a coach about 4 years ago, I used to work in the digital marketing space, working in advertising agencies, and then for the last 5 years in the CRM and the marketing space, wearing quite a lot of hats, everything from sales and marketing to ops to leadership. So I can feel where a lot of you are, especially in terms of the imposter syndrome and constantly having to build the plane as you fly it, and feeling some of the time that you're out of your depth. So today's talk, and I'm just going to toggle here so I can see my screen. Today's talk is really all about a guide to tackling imposter syndrome. So briefly, I'll go through what imposter syndrome is, how it affects us, and then I actually want to do some really cool exercise. And my hope today is that you will walk out of here not only knowing what imposter syndrome is, but having come through the other side, being able to step into your confidence and the knowledge that you are amazing. So if you're up for that, then I'm really happy to go on this journey with you. So what is imposter syndrome? It's essentially the idea that you might not deserve everything that you have now. You fail to internalize all of those things that you actually accomplished. You've always got that nagging self-doubt narrative going through your head that's belittling you and sapping your time and your energy and your focus. And there is this constant fear of everyone finding out just how, just who you are. And as a result, being exposed as a fraud or an imposter. And that's exhausting. And the impact of this is multiple. I'm just giving you the top line ones: anxiety, social dysfunction, low self-esteem, depression. And essentially, it's just not showing up as your most resourceful, wonderful self. And life is too short for that, especially since we spent a huge amount of our time at our work. And they say something like 70% of people possess imposter syndrome in some form or other, which is mind-boggling. And so when you think about it, either your company just has a really terrible way of assessing the right sort of people for the role, about 70% of you, or the whole idea and the whole internal narrative is somehow flawed, that you're not an imposter, that you are amazing just as you are. And so as we start to look at that, we're going to look under the hood and start to realize just how important our beliefs are in driving our internal narrative, but not just our internal narrative. If you look at this image in front of me, you can see that at the top half, you've got everything in the visible realm. This is in your conscious awareness. Everything underneath is in your unconscious and subconscious. So all the results that you get, everything from relationships to work results to anything even like making a cup of coffee, all of those results come from two things. One is the actions that you take or don't undertake, and the other one is the mindset that you have when you take those actions or don't take those actions, right? So an example of that is if your mindset is I'm flawed, right? Everyone's going to see who I am, so I have to hide. Your actions are you're less assertive. You hide, you hold back from really stepping into these positions that you deserve or you're more than capable of. And so your results are you have less results than you actually could achieve. Whereas if your mindset was based on understanding your true strengths and feeling confident within yourself, your actions would be a lot more assertive. You would actually put yourself up for so many more things. You will use all of your mental capacity to full effect rather than wasting it on the internal narrative. And the results would be staggeringly differently. You would show up differently. The results would be different, right? But underneath all of this, you've got what's happening in the unconscious realm. And key to that is your views, opinions, and beliefs. Now, a lot of the time, you know, when we're children, we download these beliefs. The first 8 years of our lives, in fact, we're downloading almost hypnotically everything that our caregivers tell us. We believe, you know, glass of water, dog, me. This idea of the massive concept of me is who my parents and my caregivers tell us to be, right? And so these beliefs then become the template that we live our life from. They become our programs. And often as young children, we don't want to believe that our parents are flawed people, also just doing the best they can. And so as our safety is in their hands, we believe that we are always wrong, right? We are somehow not enough. And so those programs then end up running our lives, creating the mindsets and the actions that are determining the results that we see today. So a lot of the work that we do when we start to look at imposter syndrome is understanding the core beliefs that drive that. So let's have a look at some of those beliefs. Now, a couple of ways you can find out your beliefs are, you know, if somebody says something and you end up jarringly responding to it and you go, that I don't believe that feels wrong. That's one way. But the other way is listening to your internal narrative. Now, I bet you if you're here on this talk on imposter syndrome, you've got some pretty nasty internal narrative. Your judge will be telling you horrible things about yourself. So please put in the chat, please share, what is some of the internal narrative that you have around yourself, especially when it comes to your worth and professionally. And you can also unmute yourself and share on the screen. But please share in the chat because we're going to be using some of these later on to reframe. And I'll give you a couple of examples, right? Some normal flavors that come with imposter syndrome. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not qualified enough. Everyone will think you're stupid. Yeah, any of these sounding familiar? Everybody knows better than you. Yeah, exactly. I don't know enough. And if there's any of you out there too frightened to say anything in case you'll say the wrong thing, perfect. That's just another belief. And all of us, and me included, we all have that same inner critic, and it's absolutely nasty. So please share away because we're all in the same boat, and vulnerability is really a powerful thing. I feel like I don't know as much as others. Exactly, even though you're considered an expert in your field. So many people I know in really, really senior leadership positions going, people look at me and I freak out and I'm supposed to know everything. I have no idea. Terrified of talking. Other people are like, oh, they're more senior. I can't say anything because they know more. But funnily enough, that senior person's too frightened to speak also. Yeah, don't know enough. Don't have the technical background. Not qualified enough, right? Yeah, our judge is horrible. You know, our judge is always judging ourselves, judging others, judging circumstance. That's the other one, judging circumstance. If they find out exactly how little I know, right, they are I'm going to look like an idiot, right? Everyone will judge me. So the idea that everyone's sitting there judging us rather than sitting inside their own head with their own narrative, too frightened of everybody judging them. Right. And then you've got that hypervigilant and it's like, and then when they see me, I'm going to get kicked out of my job. I'll lose all my income. I'll lose all my house. Everybody will hate me. I'll have to live under a bridge. You can hear the catastrophizing. Our brain is wired to threat. So this is like a really big thing. Imposter syndrome sticks us in fight or flight because the last thing that we want to do is to be found out. And if only people knew just how terrible we were, how flawed we were. Well, let me ask you this. as how many people on this call? 45 people. I'm wondering if you sat there and looked at each other and realized, you know, how each of you are feeling, how surprised you'd be, because I bet you there are some people going, but you're amazing. What are you talking about? You're absolutely brilliant. And the other thing is, if anybody else talked to us like we talk to ourselves, oh my God, what would you do? If anybody talked to our children like that, you'd bop them on the nose, wouldn't you? It's just outrageous. And yet we talk to ourselves in these horrible ways. So the flavor is like, I don't know enough as others. I'm not qualified enough. Exactly. We are our absolute worst critics, but don't worry, we can also become our best friends, and we're gonna get to that later. I wonder if I've ever made someone feel the way I felt when dismissed. I'd be mortified. So here you go. The judge is already having a go at you, going, you're a bad person if you had. Honestly, our judges really takes up so much of our time, effort, and energy. Now, what if we could have a really compassionate internal narrative? What would that feel like? What would become possible if we were able to have a really compassionate internal narrative? Well, funnily enough, that's what we're going to cover. So on my next slide, oh yeah, just finish this one. Essentially, what it all boils down to, all of the self-criticism and the inner judge is, you're not enough. I'm not enough, you're not enough, she's not enough, they're not enough, we're all not enough, which is funny, because if everybody's not enough, it begs the question, who is? And also, where is this enough benchmark, this invisible benchmark? Is it here? Is it here? You know, if we don't know where it is, how do we know if we ever get there? So the first tip that I want to share with you is watch your self-talk, right? Become aware of your self-talk, and, you know, would you take advice from your worst critic? I hope not, right? And yet we listen to our internal judge and go, okay, all right, well, that must be so. It's not necessarily so. You are not your thoughts. You are the person experiencing your thoughts. You're the person witnessing it. I like to compare this to the blue sky story. I don't know if I've told this on a previous talk to you, but the idea of, we are this massive field of consciousness. We are like a big blue sky, and our thoughts and circumstance, they're like clouds, right? They're clouds crossing our consciousness. And we get so sucked in by these clouds with all of the rain and the storminess that we get personally invested in it. We believe we are the clouds. You're not the clouds. You're the big blue sky beyond it. Those clouds pass. The thoughts pass. Everything that you're going through now will pass. When you look back on your life now, you know, from your deathbed, you're going to have a completely different view. You're going to give yourself some great advice. And now I'm thinking, heck, I should have put that in the as part of the presentation, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it, because I've cultivated a much more compassionate internal narrative, and that is possible. You are not your thoughts, but your thoughts do become your reality. And so here is the opportunity to reframe your thoughts. And we could do that by disputing your negative thinking. So watch the thoughts that come across your sky, right? I'm not enough. I'm not qualified enough. Everybody knows better than me. You know, everybody is more qualified than me. Everybody is perfect. I'm going to be found out. Says who? Let's dispute that. You know, let's dispute everything. How you think about yourself, how you think about your life, how you think about others, how you think about your success, and how you think about your future. So with that, what I would really love you to do, and you can do this in your own head or you can write it down, some of the narrative that you had going on earlier, I want you to dispute that. I want you to start reframing that. So when it says, I'm not very technical, what could be a reframe? Have they hired you for your technical prowess? Do you need to be technical in your job? Or have they hired you because you're amazing at relationships and technical skills are ones that you will learn as you go along? I used to run a CRM company in Singapore. I had a technical person. I didn't have to be technical, but I was hired because I was great with relationships. But if I kind of got sucked into all the things I couldn't do, I wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. Yeah, there we go. Technical helps. Great. There's a skill I can acquire. Great. So I will learn it. Am I learning it? No. Well, shall I learn it? Yes. Or am I learning it? Yes. Great, you're on top of that already. So I am empowered. I'm taking positive, affirmative steps. Do you know why? Because I take my job seriously. I'm a professional. I'm really good, right? So let's try and reframe some of these, right? You know, the not qualified enough. What else is there? Does everybody know more than you, even though you're an expert in your field? Does everyone know everything? Oh my God. Why would we all be hired if everybody knew everything? There wouldn't be a role, right? And so rather than thinking about all the things that you're not, start thinking about all the things you are, all the strengths that you have. This is the premise of positive psychology, right? If we spend all the time thinking about the negative stuff, we're going to be stuck in problems. Whereas if we're thinking about all the positive stuff, we're feeling better within ourselves and we're moving to solutions. So let's have a look. What other ones? We need to remember that learning is an ongoing process. There we go. Absolutely. And not only is learning an ongoing process, it's amazing. It's fun. We get to stretch ourselves. You know, there's benefits of learning and growing. We are all a work in progress. And you guys all come from an agile business, don't you? What's the benefit of being agile? Would you ever be agile if you knew everything to start with? Or would you actually open up and listen? Would you take the very premise of change being an opportunity? Yeah, exactly. Teammates. That's beautiful. Impossible for one person to know everything. That's why we have teammates. Being flexible. Beautiful. That's right. Agility is all about being flexible. It's about having an open growth mindset. Why don't we have that about ourselves? Oh, because we're too busy judging everybody, you know, assuming everybody is judging us. Well, let's have a look at that. Is everyone judging us? Really? Is everyone sitting there criticizing you for not knowing? Or are they actually really interested in what you do? Are you so busy worrying all the fiction in the brain and the what ifs that you're not actually noticing just how well you're doing? I mean, let's look at how well you've done so far. That's not an accident. You've created that. Yeah. So let's go back to my presentation. Dispute your negative thinking. You are not your self-talk. You're the vast sky beyond that, and you have a say. And so, you know, some of these thoughts are hardwired into our brain. We have a thought, then we have an emotional response, and then we have the behavior. So we've seen how that works out in that triangle, right? Action, mindset, results. If it's not working for you, let's go in and change those beliefs. So instead of doing this way, thought, emotional response, behavior, take a step back, notice the negative narrative and go, I'm not my thoughts. You know, I am enough, actually. Of course I'm enough. And then when you go, even if you don't feel it, but you go, if I was to come from the space of I am enough, what would I do differently here? And then you do it, right? You're creating new neural pathways, creating a new groove. And every single time you do that, you start to create a very different outcome, a very different result. And that has a really positive feedback on your psychology. So even though you are not your thoughts become your actions become your behavior becomes your destiny. And you are the only one responsible for your thoughts. Having said that, if you are beating yourself up for having all of those negative thoughts, let me reassure you that everybody has them. It is as commonplace and as natural as burping and farting, if you excuse my language. It's a natural process that we do to keep ourselves protected. Our brain is wired to threat. It's an amygdala response, and we're very good at, you know, getting stressed and anxious. It keeps us motivated, yes, and it might even help us a little bit professionally, but it's terrible for our long-term success, terrible for our long-term happiness, and terrible for our long-term well-being. Whereas if you're in that state of feeling empowered, feeling really good within yourself, if you're showing up, you're creating the results that you want in a space that marries performance and well-being, right, with a really positive internal dialogue, then you're going to be achieving better results. You're going to be achieving more sustainable success with well-being. So first tip, watch your self-talk. You are not your thoughts. You're the consciousness experiencing it. The other one is what if goes both ways. So I'm doing a hypnotherapy course at the moment. I'm two months through, and it's absolutely blowing my mind how the unconscious works. And what really crossed my mind is the power that we have to hypnotize ourselves. Now, if you think about it, we hypnotize ourselves all the time with the languages that we have, with the language that we use to ourselves. The whole not enough is hypnotic suggestion, and we believe it, right? It impacts the way we show up. But a lot of the catastrophizing that we have around imposter syndrome, which goes, oh, people are going to find out that I'm flawed or I'm not enough or whatever it is, right? And then this is going to happen. It's going to be terrible and my career will go down the drain. You're creating that reality in your mind, right? And our imagination is so much stronger than our will. We are using hypnotic suggestion in the worst possible ways. And we get to use that knowledge and shift it, because that same ability to visualize ourselves in a positive, affirming, powerful, assertive way creates that reality, right? So by being able to step into a much more powerful internal dialogue and visualization, we get to create the life that we want. And I don't just want to talk about this, I want to demonstrate it. But the most important thing to take out from this is where your attention goes, energy flows. So make sure that your attention is going somewhere constructive and not destructive. So tip 3, you have everything you need within you. And you might go, oh, yeah, right. You know, it sounds very high, but it's true. And I don't want to just tell you this. I want to show you this. So I want to do an exercise now to help you access all of the wisdom and the compassion that you have within you. Okay, so let me just ask you now, and you can put this in the chat or you can just put it in your mind. What is your biggest barrier to confidence? It could be a belief. Actually, it's likely to be a belief. Uncertainty. Yeah. Is there a belief behind that uncertainty? The unknown. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Internal dialogue, negative past experiences. These are great shares. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I can see some people relate to that. All right, so how would you like to be? Just drop it in the chat. Fearless, brilliant word. Fearless, confident, skills and abilities. Yeah, beautiful. All right. That gives me some keywords that I can then use to help you access these aspects of yourself. All right. So what I want to invite you to do, if you will, is all close your eyes. And Mel, if you're okay, I can see you on the screen. So I'm going to just use you, or anybody else, if they were willing to go on the screen, so that I can just pace my speed according to how I can see you. So can I have a volunteer? Anyone open to showing themselves?
Please, I'm going off. Can someone else come on?
And you know, I'm not going to make anyone. If you don't want to, that's okay too. I think we've got a volunteer. Oh, hello. Thank you very much. It's really useful just to see someone. Ah, a couple of people. That's beautiful. Thank you. So I'm going to invite you all to just close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. And just take a moment to really acknowledge the time and the space that you're giving yourself for your happiness and your well-being. And in your mind's eye, I want you to think of a time when you were confident, when you were feeling great within your own skin. And that may be in a professional capacity, or that might be in a life capacity or a sporting capacity. And it might be that you have to flick through a couple of scenarios, and don't worry about having to pick the best one. Just pick one that feels right for you. And then what I want you to do is just pull that picture up in front of you, full screen. And I want you to notice everything about this confident, you. Notice how you stand. Notice how your hair is done and what you're wearing. Right? Notice the kind of energy that you give out. If there's a certain level of ease and confidence that goes with you, right? And notice if that energy impacts others around you. Yeah, notice everything about this calm, confident, resourceful you. And what I want you to do is I want you to make the picture brighter, make the sounds louder, make the image sharper. That's it. And I want you to imagine that you've got a dial there, a dial that goes from 0 to 5, and turn it up from 0 to 1. That's it. That's it. And as you do so, you start to notice the energy that's coming out of you. This calm, confident you is starting to charge up, ramp up, and you can actually feel it against your body as you're watching. And you're noticing this calm, confident, resourceful you just present in flow. And you're just noticing how great that person feels within their skin, how they feel that they can handle whatever life throws at them. Absolutely fine. And I want you to turn that dial up from a 1 to a 2, and I want you to make the image even brighter, make the sounds louder, make the feeling that comes out, that emanates out, even stronger. That's it. Now double it, triple it. Perfect. Turn up that dial to a 3, right? And you're feeling this energy, just looking at this amazing, calm, confident you. And as you're turning up the energy, you're noticing everyone and everything around reacting in a really positive way. That is brilliant. Are you ready? We're going to crank it up to 4. Turn that up to 4 and see and hear and feel just how amazing that is. Make the image even sharper, make the sounds even louder, make the image brighter, make the colors louder. That's it. Feel that energy tunneling through you. It's almost as if you have to lean against it just to sort of stay still, and turn that up one more time from 4 to 5. Wow, that's amazing. Just look how calm, confident, reassured you are. How grounded, like you can handle absolutely whatever life throws at you. Amazing. And I want you to lean into this energy. It's almost like a force field. You're pushing into it and you're walking up to this amazing, calm, confident, resourceful, fearless you. Go around the back and step into their body now. See what you see. Hear what you hear and feel just how confident you feel, just how good you feel. Knowing that you feel great within your skin, you're able to handle whatever life throws at you. You've done it in the past and you know you can do it because you're comfortable and confident in your strengths, and you're grounded and resourceful and fearless. And turn up that dial way past 5. How high do you want to turn it up? Crank it up all the way. That's it. And feel this energy flooding through you, absolutely emanating out like a force field. It's incredible. Double it again, triple it again, make the sounds louder, make the image brighter and sharper. That's it. Amazing. And you may notice that it's radiating out of a particular part of your body. And maybe that part of your body has got a color attached to it. Take that color, wash yourself with it, bathe yourself with it, amplify that amazing feeling. And maybe you want to put your hand against that particular part of your body and press against it. And as you do, we're creating a powerful anchor, because your body is recognizing whenever you put your hand there with that amount of pressure, it knows that you can step into this feeling of calm, confident fearlessness anytime, feeling good. Whew. And from this space, I want you to offer yourself today a bit of advice. From that calm, confident, resourceful space, what advice would you give yourself about your barriers to confidence? And just listen. What would you want to take up and what would you want to let go of? That's it. And maybe you've got some questions that you want to ask. Ask yourself those questions now and listen to the answer. That's great. You can go back to this part of you because it's the essence of you. This confident, resourceful person is you. It's always been you. And how good was that advice you give yourself? Why do we go to others for advice when look at all that compassion and wisdom? Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. Nobody has as much love for you as you have for yourself. Now I know your judge disagrees, but when you silence your mind and you actually go in to the essence of who you are, the sage, that blue sky, you have all the answers you need. Yeah, so whenever you're ready, take your time, maybe put some of the insights and the advice in the chat, because one thing that I love is that when we get into that wise part of our brain, the advice that we give ourselves is pure gold. So if we can share it with others and they can benefit, that would be amazing. So all you wise ladies out there, please share. What advice did you give yourself? And also, if anybody wants to talk, please unmute yourself. Are you happy to share? I can't see your name, the lady on camera. Yeah.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
One of the things that I told myself as advice is that I've done this before, I felt this way before, I can do it again. It's not really unknown and it's not something that I can't do. It's just what you were talking through, believing in yourself that you have the answers.
Yeah, exactly. That's beautiful. And when we asked what do you need to take up and what do you need to let go of, what did what was the answer?
What I needed to take up is what we've been talking about, things like confidence, things like reminding yourself of your skills, right? Instead of focusing on the negatives of what you don't know or what you don't have, you think about what you do have.
Yeah.
And the thing that I wanted to let go of was feelings of anxiety towards, any of the kind of, the things that we hear in our head that we're not enough or we don't know enough or we're not as far along as we should be.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
Funny thing about confidence, it's like you can't take up confidence. The thing about confidence, it's not about acquiring anything. It's not about any new skills. Confidence is about letting go of stuff. Confidence is just about dropping the negative self-talk. You already have the confidence underneath that. It's just we need to silence all of the garbage. Yeah, thank you. And somebody else has just come on screen. Would you like to share? No? Oh, that's you, Mel. You're so tiny small here. Okay, thank you so much. So let's hear what I want to be confident knowing I still have value, even if I don't have all the answers or knowledge I feel I should have. Yeah, you are successful and capable. You know how to overcome challenges. And reminding myself that I can always figure things out and meet the goals that I set. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So that's the first exercise. We've got a few others, right? So that was our step into our confidence exercise. So tip 4, this is an interesting one. Navigate the positive intention. So what do I mean by that? The part of you that is keeping you hidden and doubting actually does have a positive intention for you. So imagine like a 4-year-old hurts itself and you put a cast on the leg of a 4-year-old to protect it, to bolster it, right? It's like we grew up and we forgot we still had that cast on our leg and now it's hobbling us. So it's important to understand that even this imposter syndrome has a positive intention around it. And once we start to understand what that positive intention is, we can unpack it and we can make sure that that need is met, separate to it sabotaging your performance, sabotaging your happiness and your well-being. So your unconscious is always trying to protect you. And what I want to do is I want to do a really cool exercise called Mind the Gap. And so once again, if I could have a visual person to help me do this exercise. And this one works at a very powerful unconscious level. You may become aware of the narrative. Now, we can only really rationalize so much because a lot of these beliefs are in our unconscious mind. It's the programs that are determining our life. So we're going to do a little exercise to help you rewire your unconscious attitude towards imposter syndrome so that you can be all these things: fearless, confident, assertive, right? And in your own skills, in your own ability, in your own skin, right? We can meet all of those. And at the same time, we can address whatever it is that your imposter syndrome is trying to protect you from. So can I please have a volunteer again? Could I ask the lovely lady who did it before to come on screen again?
Georgie, just so you know, we've got about 12 minutes left.
That's fine. Thank you. I can do this in 5.
And it's
We're only
Lauren.
going until, oh, okay. Oh, Lauren, hello. Okay, so lovely. What I want you to do is I want you to put your hands like this. Can you see? So one hand to either side. Yeah, perfect, perfect. Okay, now, in one hand, I want you to imagine how you want to be, okay? So the confidence, the assertiveness, right? And that might have a certain energy to it. And everybody, I want you to do this exercise, okay? Do this in your own mind. Put in one of your hands the energy of how you want to be. See it, feel it, hear it, taste it, touch it, right? And as you've got that energy in your hand, maybe it's got a particular density or a color, right? Okay, and attached to how you want to be, there's this feeling of identity, there's values, there's beliefs, there's actions, there's skills, right? These are all part of how you want to be. Okay. Now, in your other hand, what I want you to do is I want you to put where you're at now, okay? Along with imposter syndrome. And maybe there's a particular energy or a density to that. Can you feel it? Yeah, perfect. And within that, there's identity, actions, skill sets, beliefs, behaviors, all in there. Now, the hand that is stopping you from being confident, that believes you're an imposter, has a positive intention for you. It's trying to protect you from something. So what I want you to do is I want you to go in, and this sounds strange, but trust the process. Go in and ask that part of your mind, what are you trying to protect me from? And you may get an answer consciously, and you may not get an answer. And either way is fine, because at an unconscious level, it knows it wants to protect you. Now, the thing about protecting you is it's like putting your hand on a hot stove. You put your hand on a hot stove and you learn the lesson. I'm not going to do it again. But with things like imposter syndrome and the anxiety it creates, it's keeping our hand on the hot stove. And that isn't good for us. It's not good for our well-being. It's not good for our performance. And so whatever intention that part of you is trying to create, it maybe doesn't need to signal that alarm so loudly and all the time. Maybe what it can do is just ease off a little and just signal at the time that is right? Instead of 100%, what's the 20%? And, you know, instead of slamming the feet on the brakes, how could it maybe have control of the steering wheel and maybe just slow it down, right? So the funny thing is, and I don't know if you've noticed, your two sides of your hands have already started talking at an unconscious level. And you may notice it's like you've got a rubber band that is attached to your two wrists and it's pulling them together. And you may notice this. And as they do, all sorts of possibilities are created. At an unconscious level, they're working out ways to work together so that you can be assertive and you can be fearless and you can be comfortable and confident and calm. And at the same time, protect yourself just enough. These two parts are joining together to create a new part, a more constructive, resourceful part, what I want you to do is put your hands together. It could be one on top of the other, it could be clasped, perfect. And just feel the energy that is created when you put those two hands together. Feel the possibilities that start to expand with that. And maybe, and I'm going to shut up for a little bit, maybe ideas start to arise, new possibilities start to arise. Or maybe you're just experiencing feelings, and that's absolutely fine too, because you're trusting that at an unconscious level, you are rewiring. You're rewiring your mind so that you get the best of both worlds. So I'm going to be quiet for a bit and just feel in and listen in and watch. Okay, and maybe you might want to take that part of take your hand and put it against a particular part of your body, like your heart or your mind. Go ahead and do that if you feel so inclined. And as you do, you're going to start to just become aware of that energy integrating into your body. Now, your body has its own intelligence. You don't have to tell it how to breathe, how to take one step, how to digest. And at the moment, what it's doing is it's integrating all of these possibilities, and it's informing all of your various parts about a new way forward, a new, more constructive way where you're not going to be exposed for anything except for how wonderful and how brilliant you are, where you're fearless in stepping into your voice because your voice is valuable and you know enough and you're learning. We're all learning. Yeah, so just maybe take a moment and put into the chat any thoughts or insights or outcomes with that exercise. What did you think? What did you feel? What came up for you? What new possibilities have you just created? And it's almost sometimes as if those two parts are starting to work together, with one saying, hey, I'll let you know if you're in any danger, but for now, go for it, right? Because that part of you that's trying to protect you must be exhausted. Poor thing. Yeah, always blaring the alarm, always looking out for you. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I have the ability to self-support. But you say through imposter syndrome. That's quite interesting. So, let's call it something else. Why don't we call it something other than imposter syndrome? So you have a part of you that's trying to protect you, right? So a part that's vigilant, but not hyper vigilant. It's not an imposter, right? It's a protector. So how about a part of you that is valiant, right? Protective, but only enough, not too much. But yes, you have the ability to support. You have that really powerful, positive internal dialogue that's there to support you. All right, so when you look at that, maybe you've identified at an unconscious level, or maybe at a conscious level, what needs to change. And so I'm going to encourage you to watch out over the next few days, or even take some time after this to sort of listen into that intelligence of that new part. What needs to change in terms of your identity, your beliefs, your values, skills? If you say not technical enough, okay, how technical do you need to be and what can you do about it? There are certain things that you will have control over, in which case do something about it. And there are certain things that you have no control over, in which case you could either accept it or you could beat yourself up by resisting it. But that's not the best use of your time or your energy. And really, you've got that part of you that knows just how many strengths that you have and how well you can use that to really accelerate your professional success and your personal well-being. Right. Next part, we kind of covered this early. Messy, not perfect. We are all a work in progress. Who is perfect, right? Are any of you perfect? Hands up if you're perfect. I mean, I can't see you, but virtual hands up if you're perfect. No, no one is perfect. So why on earth do we need to be? Do we expect our children to be perfect? Or do we just love them as they are? How about we afford the same compassion towards ourselves? And then, of course, you know, the benefits to being a work in progress. You are the best project you will ever undertake. You yourself are the best project you will ever undertake. And you are a lifelong work of glorious art. And it's messy, not perfect. And then the last one is really something that you can do on your own, because it's a long exercise, but it's a very worthwhile one. So when Mel shares the deck afterwards, take this and do this, because I think you'll be quite, you know, surprised at just how qualified you really are. So get a long sheet of paper, a big sheet of paper, 2 sides, and then write down, start off with all of the qualifications, right? You will have some, right? All of the courses that you've gone on, either professionally or on your own time, all of the books that you've read, all of the lateral experience that you've gained in that grand school of life, plus life experience. And we're not even including the things like relationships experience, friendships experiences, all of these things that contribute to you being a good leader, employee, whatever it is. Write all of those down and then go, okay, well, how many hours is that? Right? Well, actually, I've spent days, weeks, years developing myself, right? But you can also say, okay, I'm missing some skills. Okay, so what skills do I need to acquire? Okay, well, then I've got these skills to acquire. You can do something about that, right? That doesn't mean you're unworthy because you haven't got small skills. Our self-worth is not measured by the value of the skills that we have or don't have, right? They're just skills. And then finally, that question, when is enough enough? When will you ever be enough? And the only answer to that really is now. You can only ever be enough now, because we experience all of the future through small incremental experiences experienced in the now, right? So that's pretty much the end of my presentation. I want to leave some time for Q&A, and you know, these are the different ways that you can contact me. You can find me on LinkedIn, on my website. I also offer discovery calls, so that if you know that you can be more than you really are, and you have imposter syndrome or anything else stopping you, then I'm offering 90-minute sessions, and it's obligation free. And we're going to look at what's stopping you from reaching where you want to get to. And then we're going to look at where you want to get to and what's going to get you there. And by the end of it, you're going to have a really good roadmap. But a couple of things that I ask in advance. The first thing is that you are serious about your own personal development. And if I'm giving 90 minutes of my time, you're going to take that roadmap and put it into action to change your life, because you are all perfect as you are. And you've been hired for a really good reason. Now, go be your fabulous selves, plural. And with that, let me just open up to questions. Please feel free to drop into the chat. Perfect children would be nice though, yes, wouldn't they? Actually, having said that, I don't know, they would be boring. Who wants perfect, boring children? You know, where would be the self-growth? I find out so much about myself from my children, all of my triggers, all of my weaknesses. They're just like a great big mirror. So thank you very much.
They certainly show you where your triggers are.
Oh my goodness. So Mel and I, we know each other's children, and it's wonderful how we can sort of be so appreciative of others' children as well. And sometimes we need, you know, it's just easy to be human. To Hulk out. I do it all the time. I'm dropping in the chat my contact details if any of you want to contact me.
And I will post this once we're done here. I'll put this in our Women in Technology group. Thank you, Georgie. That was amazing. I'm sure if anyone has questions, they'll contact you. But there are lots of messages here just to say thank you. The exercise were wonderful. You covered basically years of therapy in 1 hour. So very insightful. Yeah.
Amazing. And I, you know, as a woman in tech myself, there's a couple of things that I have to say. You know, I work with men, a lot of men who experience self-doubt. Most of them don't work in marketing technology. And I think as women, we hold ourselves back from asking for promotions and, you know, stepping into our power and our authority. And most of the time, it's because we're so busy noticing everything wrong with us that we don't even take the time to acknowledge what is right for us. So Mel, if you want me to come back and do another talk on articulating your strengths, I would gladly do that, because I think that the more people start to recognize all of their amazing strengths, then that's it's remarkable. So do let me know.
I'll ask her. We'll send out a note to say if anyone would be interested, and then we can set that up for the new year.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
Any questions? I thought we had a full hour, but then it looked like we were stopping 10 minutes ago. So I'm like,
yeah, sorry. I was looking at the recording time because you and I were on 10 minutes before, and it's actually not. So anyway, we've got about 7 minutes. I think a lot of people are dropping for other calls. But that was great, Georgie. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Go be fabulous. All
You
of
go
you.
be fabulous too.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Already. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.